All right, so if you are watching this demonstration video, it means you are ready to dive into some fur or hair texture. So you're about to hear some techniques or tricks on how to create something that looks more like hair or fur like this. So hopefully you get something out of this. Thanks. All right, so the purpose of this demonstration video is to show you how to create hair texture. So if you are creating a digital drawing of a person with hair or an animal with fur, this will be very helpful for you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a base color of the hair, just do an outline of the general shape of the hair, and then autofill it with that same color. Then once you have that, you're going to want to make sure you're on the correct brush. You want this pointed brush right here. It looks way more like hair than some of the other brushes, and the brush size should be a little bit lower. You want to keep the opacity up, and for the color, that all depends if you want to start with shadows or highlights. Me personally, I'm going to start with some shadows. So I'm going to go over to my drawing layer and lower the opacity down to close to 40-50%. And the reason I do that is so I can see the highlights and shadows underneath this drawing area, and I can see where I need to make the darker areas and the lighter areas. Then once I have that taken care of, you're going to go over to the color palette and you're going to darken your color. Just slide that over, make a darker tone, because I'm going to start with shadows, and then you just come in and you begin working. So I'm just going to work in this little area up here for now, and I'm just going to make a series of lines that kind of flow in the direction of the hair. And this can be time consuming, but it is worth it in the end, trust me. So I follow a few general rules whenever I do fur texture. First of all, it's just a series of lines that you're using. And rule number one, with these lines, you want to make sure that you are having them flow in the direction that the hair is flowing or the fur is flowing. You don't want to be making lines this way. That just doesn't make any sense. It won't look correct. The second one is that you want to make sure that your lines are the right length. If I just come in here and make little short choppy lines, it's going to look like short hair. So make sure that you are using an appropriate length for hair. And then finally, the third rule I follow is you keep the light areas light and the dark areas dark, which will help you focus more on the different tones in the hair and the shadows and highlights. So I didn't put much work into that yet, but if I bring the opacity up and see what I have, that's what it looks like. Oops. That's what I have so far. And if I want to go in and make some highlights in there, just grab your original color, bring it up a little bit lighter. Remember, bring your opacity down, and then add some lighter lines. And I'm just going to continue to work in the lighter areas, following my three rules. And if you spend enough time with this, it will actually start to look like hair or fur, depending on what you're doing. So let's see what this looks like now with a little bit of highlights in it. As you can see, if you work with this long enough, it'll start to really look like hair texture. And you can even bring the opacity up and just kind of memorize where those highlights and shadows are. And continue working. Just like this. Good luck. So I continue working in this area a little bit, and I just want to show you a couple more tricks. One thing you could do if you want to just go back and forth between the original image and your drawing, you just double tap that quickly instead of putting the opacity down. That way you can see what the true color looks like when you're actually drawing on your drawing layer. Also, once you have a little more detail in here, I like to go in and add some more highlights and shadows with the opacity down, around 50%. That just kind of blends some of my detail together. So if I double tap this and realize where some shadows are, You can come back in and add some more line detail. And what that does, it kind of blends what you already have. So there you go.